Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Maida and you're watching Maida Pours. Thank you so much for joining me today. If it's your first time here, you are very welcome. And if you're a returning viewer, well, welcome back, friend. It's so good to see you again. So for today's pour, what are we doing today? This is going to be a combo video because I'm going to be mixing my paint and then doing a quick pour that'll probably speed up just, you know, for time's sake of this video, but so you can see the results with the mixture that I create. So I am going to be doing a pearl pour recipe mixing tutorial in this video. That was a lot of words, but I think that encompasses the idea today. And let's come down here, let's take a look at the ingredients. Simple, this is simple. Now, Liquitex pouring medium, this is just something I add to everything always. I love using a little bit of Liquitex pouring medium in my pours. I feel that using Floetrol alone causes your paintings to dry pretty dark and matte, and while that can be livened right back up again with, you know, a varnish or resin finish, I really like the way that having Liquitex pouring medium causes my paintings to dry with just a little bit of a satin finish more than just that dark matte finish, and it doesn't take much. So is it integral? Is it necessary? I don't know because I've never tried to do it without it because I always use it. Does that make sense? So take that as you will and experiment away. So next up, of course, we have the DecoArt satin enamel up right here. But this DecoArt satin enamel is like, it's your standard pure white. There was a period of time where I believe this was difficult to find during the beginning stages of COVID. It is back on my Michaels shelf in my at my local Michaels. It is no longer difficult for me to find, but I don't know if that is true for everyone. I know you can also order these online. They're in stock online as well. Also, next up, we've got our Artist Loft. Now this is Artist Loft Soft Body Acrylic. Now, if you've been pouring for a while, you know there is a bit of controversy between the soft body and it used to be called the Flow Acrylic. And I didn't even notice that the name changed. I'm gonna be honest, I think I called it Flow Acrylic in many of my videos when it's actually, I've been using soft body acrylic paint by Artist Loft. What is the difference? I'm not the person to tell you that because I've never experienced a problem using either one for the paintings that I do. That's my personal experience with it, with these very specific techniques. So I like using a kitchen measuring scale. I know many people say taking a scale, it makes it not fun. I'm not one of those people. But the reason I like to use a kitchen scale, and the reason I actually recommend it for beginners especially, is because that is the most difficult part of paint pouring, is getting your consistencies right and understanding how these paints work together. So at a certain point, I think eyeballing, it becomes natural, it becomes second nature. But when you're first starting out, like, part of learning is to see what these parts are, what they look like, how they work together. So what is the recipe? It is kind of 1 part to 1 part Artist Loft and satin enamel, and then an equal part of that to Floetrol. So for actual measurements, I'm gonna do 2 ounces of Artist Loft soft body. I'm gonna do 2 ounces of the DecoArt satin enamel, and I'm gonna mix it up with 4 ounces of my Floetrol, okay? So I always add my Floetrol first, and that's mostly because it's easier to mix things into it. So it's always the first thing that gets put into the mixing cup. I'm using one of my big mixing cups right now, so 4 ounces of Floetrol. So next up, I'm gonna go ahead and add the satin enamel. So I'm gonna add 2 ounces of the satin enamel. Now, when you first open up satin enamel, do you see, this is actually, I think, what gives us our pearls right here, is this kind of oily top layer. You need to mix this into the paint. Like, it doesn't look clear and goopy, you know. When you gotta mix it together, it's gonna separate. This was a brand new tin. It will separate if it sits for a while, but you're always gonna have to incorporate a brand new jar of satin enamel like this. So now you can see that it is no longer kind of that almost transparent, like it was much more yellowy. It's now all mixed in together for that nice, really nice solid white, okay? So now I'm gonna add 2 ounces of the Deco Art satin enamel. So obviously I can't take this out if I, you know, overdo it a little bit, so it's okay, just pour it slowly. So right there, that's 2 ounces. And then I'm going to add 2 ounces of, I zero it out every time on the kitchen scale. I don't know if you can see the numbers on the scale on the camera. I don't think you can too well, but. Okay. And we add 2 ounces of the Artist Loft Soft Body, formerly known as Artist Loft Floetrol. If anyone knows what the change was in the formula or what the difference is, please let me know in the comments, because I am curious. I really don't know. So right here, this has the Floetrol, the Artist Loft, and the satin enamel in it. And you want to get that nice and mixed up. Okay, so this is already, you know, it's already like a pretty fluid concoction here. Obviously it's not thin enough, but you know, it doesn't start off incredibly thick. It leaves a mound in the cup still. So before I add any water, I add my Liquitex pouring medium. And I do think it's important to add Liquitex pouring medium Okay, I no longer need my scale. I'm gonna go ahead and move that out of the way. And I'm pretty much done with these guys as well. So before I add any water, I always add my Liquitex pouring medium. Liquitex pouring medium is a binder, and that's all I'm gonna add. I don't add a lot, you know? I just add kind of a drizzle into it, and I mix that in. And Liquitex pouring medium is a binder, which means it does help the paint molecules kind of stay together and not get broken up by the water I'm about to be adding. So that's one reason why I do think, so maybe Liquitex pouring medium is a really important part of this recipe. Probably is important to use. But if it is important to use, well, it's sort of a happy accident that I figured that out, because like I said, I add it to everything that every paint I mix up myself, I add a little bit of Liquitex pouring medium to it. So it is a binder, and it does help those paint molecules stick together, so, and not get broken up by the water. So that helps keep it together. And generally speaking, even just a little bit of Liquitex pouring medium does kind of make it even more fluid, and that's holding true. It's a little bit thinner already. So I don't actually like measure out my water using measuring cups or teaspoons or anything, but I just wanted to let you know that the amount of water you add at a time is somewhere between half a teaspoon and 1 teaspoon, or what you might call a capful of a water bottle, but I can't find the cap to this water bottle. But it really is, it's somewhere, it hovers between a half teaspoon and 1 teaspoon. You're adding a very small amount of water at a time. I'll show you, just use the half teaspoon. Boop, that's how much water you add at a time to thin this down. You have to add your water slowly. You cannot dump it in and mix it in. That will cause the binders of your paint to break apart with how much water you need to add to get this technique to work for you. So this mixing is kind of like learning how to break the rules of how much water you add to your paint. That's how I see it. Again, I'm not going to use the actual measuring spoon every time, but just to give you an idea of how much water I'm adding at a time, I would say it's about half a teaspoon. Okay, so let's take a look here and see how this is pouring off the... Yep, it's definitely leaving a trace. You don't want it to leave anything. You don't want to see this paint hit. And yeah, I can still see that trace. It's not much. I mean, for a lot of people that you'd probably look at this and go, that's very, very thin, Maida. Maybe you just want to let that be now. And it's like, sure, for almost every other type of pour, but not this one. This one, you keep adding water. And each time you add that half a teaspoon, you incorporate it, and you just gotta be patient with it. It's not an immediate moment, you know, it's not, I mean, mixing your paints in general takes time, it's obviously. But for this technique, you know, it's like you just sort of gotta sit here and add your water slowly, check out how it's paint that pours back into your cup like, I would say like milk. I guess maybe like heavy cream, but still, it pours. It pours, you know, just straight in. I definitely think that this technique uses the thinnest paints that I am aware of. If I am wrong, if you know of a technique that uses thinner paints than pearl pours, whether they be metallic or satin enamel, please let me know in the comments, because I like thin paint techniques, so I'd really like to know of one that is even thinner than this. How many times have I poured water in now? I haven't been counting. I will count when I edit this video. I'll put a little counter in the, so even though I just asked and even though I'm saying I don't know, it says it on the screen right now for you. You're welcome. This is starting to get there, but it's not there yet. I can still see a trace. I don't know if you can see it on camera. I'm trying to show you. I'm gonna probably speed this up about 2 times speed, just for the sake of the video not being too long. But you gotta take your time doing this. You really do. It's not an instant process. This is getting there, but it's not there yet. Half a teaspoon at a time. So we are getting closer and closer. Like, it is barely leaving. I can see the drizzle on top, but it sinks really quickly. But again, I can still see the trace I don't want to see any trace. No trace. And you just add it a little tiny bit at a time until that even that trace disappears. Ooh, we're very close now. It's actually going to be very interesting to see how many times I put water in this when I am editing it, because I have never really counted. I don't know. Now, when you do get to that place, you don't want to add more water. It's like, that's the place, that's the point. You know, you don't want to push it past, you don't want to push it too far, or your paint will start to break up. And you can tell you've pushed it too far if your pearls kind of just start to fall apart, basically. Which I don't think I have an example to show you right now. It is just about there. I'm gonna add one more. Famous last words, one more. But I'm gonna add one more because that's almost like what I do. I get it to where I go, I think that's good, and then I go, one more. Even though I think just a second ago I told you don't keep going, I clearly lied. I do one more. That is mixed up. I'm gonna do a quick pour and show you how this works. Okay, let's go. So there you go. If you like this video, hit the thumbs up button and be sure to subscribe if you enjoy watching acrylic paint pouring videos, because that's what I do here. Check out the link in the description to my Facebook group. We can always continue the conversation over there. And as always, thanks so much for watching. You know I appreciate it, and I will see you guys next time. Bye-bye.